God punished Adam and Eve for the sin they committed. And the Lord God sent him out of the paradise of pleasure, to till the earth from which he was taken. General 3:23. Because of their sin, all the troubles in the world today, wars, sickness, poverty, and suffering, came into existence. We inherited the weaknesses and hardships that were part of Adam's punishment. Because of their sin, Adam and Eve lost God's grace, the right to heaven, and their special gifts. They became subject to death, pain, and temptation, and were forced to leave the Garden of Paradise. 1. Adam and Eve immediately lost God's friendship and the holiness they once had. This loss of sanctifying grace was their greatest punishment because it meant they no longer had the right to see God in heaven. 2. They also lost their special gifts. They became subject to suffering, temptation, and death. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the earth, for dust you are, and unto dust you shall return. General 3:16-19. 3. God drove Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Paradise. And the Lord God sent him out of the paradise of pleasure. General 3:23-24. 4. Some people wonder why eating one piece of fruit was such a serious sin. We must remember that God had given Adam and Eve every blessing and asked only one thing of them: to obey his command not to eat from a certain tree. Paradise was full of better fruit, yet they disobeyed out of pride and selfishness. They wanted to be like God and ignored his warning. Because of Adam's sin, we are all born without sanctifying grace and inherit his punishment, just as we would have inherited his blessings if he had obeyed God. Therefore, as through one man sin entered into the world and through sin death, and thus death has passed into all men. Rom. 5:12. 1. This sin passed on to us is called original sin. It means every person is born without God's grace, not because of Adam's personal sin, but because he was the head of the human race. This sin is called original because it comes from our origin, our first parents. All people are born without the friendship of God and with no right to heaven. Original sin comes from Adam alone, not from Eve, since God made Adam the representative of all humanity. Eve was punished for her own disobedience, but her guilt was not passed on to her descendants. 2. Because of original sin, heaven was closed to everyone until Jesus Christ's death on the cross. Jesus gave us the sacrament of baptism to restore the grace Adam lost and to open heaven to us again. A person who is baptized is freed from all sin and filled with God's grace. If that person were to die immediately after baptism, even if he had sinned before, he would go straight to heaven. The main punishments we inherit are death, suffering, ignorance, and a strong inclination to sin. 1. Because of original sin, we are subject to sickness and death. In the day you eat of it, you shall die. General 2:17. 2. Human nature also became weak and drawn toward evil. Our reason often struggles against our desires. Even after baptism removes original sin, the effects, like temptation, sickness, and weakness, remain. The imagination and thought of man's heart are prone to evil. General 8:21. The flesh desires against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. Gal. 5:17. God is not unjust. Original sin doesn't take away anything that we strictly deserve. It only removes the special gifts that God freely gave to Adam, which we would have shared if he hadn't sinned. 1. All humanity suffers the effects of Adam's sin because he was the head and representative of the whole human race. It's like when a ruler makes a decision for an entire nation, everyone is affected. For example, when King Alfonso XIII of Spain lost his throne, his children also lost their royal rights through no fault of their own. Similarly, if a wealthy father loses his fortune, his children lose their inheritance. 2. We would have shared Adam's blessings if he had remained faithful, so it's fair that we share the loss that came from his sin. If Adam hadn't sinned, we would have been born holy and in God's grace, though we'd still be free to sin personally later. But because he was the head of the human race, his sin affected everyone. Yes. The Blessed Virgin Mary was preserved from original sin because of the future merits of her Son, Jesus Christ. This special privilege is called her Immaculate Conception. And when the angel had come to her, he said, "Hail, full of grace, the Lord is with you. Blessed are you among women." Luke chapter 1 verse 28. 1. From the very first moment of her existence, Mary was kept free from all stain of original sin. God gave her every grace she needed to be worthy to become the mother of his Son. 2. Mary's soul was as pure as Eve's before the fall. But where Eve sinned and lost her purity, Mary remained sinless and faithful to God her entire life. We celebrate the feast of the Immaculate Conception on December 8th. 3. Saint John the Baptist was also freed from original sin before his birth. While he was still in his mother's womb, God cleansed him of sin. He was conceived in sin like us but was born without it.